Good morning, happy Monday. Welcome to the Pitch Strike Chronicles. I'm Uncle Tots. I am here with Donald Stewart. And when they say a win is a win is a win, well, as ugly as that game was. And Tats has video proof that this was as stressful as a game I've ever had to see in the playoffs. As she was severely concerned about my heart. But a win is a win. And as bad as it was it ended up on the upside with the W in the end. So the Yankees are up 1-0 in the series against Kansas City. And I have to say the shocking thing, because it was something that we were very skeptical about, very critical about, and that was starting Verdugo. We weren't sure if they should just go with the bat with Dominguez or the defense with Verdugo, and he provided both. He made some phenomenal defensive play. He had that one bobbling catch that, wow, and he came through with the bat. He has, so I got to give credit where it's due. Verdugo, we were worried about you, but for one game, you're getting a reprieve, bro. You came up like a dog, like you said you were going to do. And you were kind of righting the ship of all the negativity, because a lot of fans wrote you off. And you kind of said, look, it's the postseason. It's a different atmosphere. It's a different mentality. And Verdugo showed up and was a very key part in turning that sloppy game into a W. So, Donald, what stood out when it comes with Verdugo? What was your take on the way he kind of turned up?
His attitude. I liked his attitude. What did he say after? I would have booed me too. That's what we want to hear. That's what we want to hear. Accountability. And didn't blame anybody else but himself for his very poor second half of the year. And to be honest, the great thing about the postseason is everybody starts at zero. No matter if you've hit 58 home runs or 5, it doesn't matter. Everybody starts at zero in the postseason, and this is your opportunity to make a name for yourself. Put yourself in the record books. Whether you're here for 1 year or 5 years or whatever years, this is your opportunity to put yourself in the record books. And Alex Verdugo, if he gets us to a World Series, will always be remembered fondly. That's true. That's just a fact. And a performance like that in Game 1 will help that. It will help that. He was pretty clutch. And the big story through Game 1 was how terrible our bats were with runners in scoring position. Yeah. We were looking so bad. And I was like, this team is looking desperate to lose. But Doogie came up. A big spot. Yep. I have to hand it to him, man. He's obviously got a moxie on him, a toughness about him that you need in October. So it was the right call from Aaron Boone, and shout out to Verdugo.
Yeah, no, it was he turned up, and that's all we asked for. Because when you're a Yankees fan, it's very easy to have the fans fall in love with you, fall out of love with you, and fall in love with you all over again. That's kind of how it goes, and that's just not the Yankees. That's any fan base, right? I mean, it's just the way it is. So, while we're on the leading off topic with Verdugo, let's get to some of the comments in the chat, because you guys have been killing it. The other day, we were so we were kind of really having a conversation with the three of us, and we were hoping Rob was going to be able to make it today, but he is stuck at work. So we hope Rob is he might try to chime in through the chat at some point. But do want to give a roll call, because that's something that we enjoy doing with you guys as much as it's done in the stadium. So here we go. Leading off on the roll call, we got Ken. Good morning. Good morning. Love what he's done with NFE on the strike zone. He's got some great comments. Egyptian Magician, how are you doing this morning? We got Gregory Wayne hanging out with us. This is really amazing. The Yankees are in position they are in. And speaking of NFE, here is the Strike Zone himself. Yo, what's going on, NFE? If you are not subscribed to the Strike Zone, I highly suggest you jump over and hit that sub button and check out his channel. He does some great play-by-play. He does the pregame shows and also his morning shows on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And we always enjoy shouting out the fam. Also, Dev Finch with the scariest profile picture I've ever seen. What's going on, Dev? We got cold Italian pizza. One of the more, that's got to be one of the top names on YouTube. So it's just we got also we got Acevedo in the building. What's going on, Acevedo? Stephen B, how are you doing? Hope everybody has enjoyed the postseason baseball throughout the weekend, as we have. Damian Serrano, can't say it any other way. We say that in the voice, my best imitation of our boy Hector from what the name of his channel now? I know I want to say the old name, the new name slipped my mind. So Damien, drop the new channel in there because I just had a major tats moment.
Round of applause.
We also got, it only took about 5 minutes. We also have the nosebleed section. Good morning, nosebleed. And pardon my puppy over here. It is raining in New York, so where she would normally lay outside for the show, she is stuck cramped in here with me. But we also got Jared Williams. Jared, one of our loyal watches in the morning. So Uptown Sports TV, that is where you can find find Hector, Damien, Grace Monroe. They do phenomenal work and they cover a lot of sports as well. So make sure you also check out Uptown Sports TV on YouTube. So now the roll call's out of the way. We gave our praise to Verdugo, and I think it's time to switch it up to. I want to really break down Garrett Cole, because without his ace performance, I mean, how we stayed in the game and they weren't just they weren't running up the score because he wasn't missing any of the bats. And that's a bit concerning with this Royals team because they're going to kill you on contact. That's really their bread and butter. Make the contact and they kill you on the base paths. So when you're looking at Garrett Cole's performance, you have to be just as critical as you would anybody else. It was pretty ugly for your ace not to have that shutdown game to lead, to start things off, and relying on some of the luck that had to come the Yankees' way. Donald, what was your takeaway from Cole's performance?
At least he didn't let the game get out of hand.
Yeah,
because he wasn't good. The problem was he was leaving a lot of pitches up. All his pitches were sailing up in the middle of the zone, and it was getting tattooed. He got very lucky. I thought Juan Soto played a phenomenal game in right field. And of course, Aaron Judge made a great play tracking down a ball in center field, deep center field. So the outfield really helped him. Without a doubt, the outfield really helped him. And yeah, he left a lot of pitches up, but he kept us in the game largely. He wasn't horrible, but it's not Garrett Cole. He didn't pitch well. Like his pitches were all up, and he got kind of fortunate. But he kind of sailed down for a bit. But then he got into that at bat with Gurriel, and then when there was a 10 or 11 pitch at bat, and then he couldn't get him out, and you could see visibly frustrated that you couldn't get Gurriel out. And then when he walked him, he served up a meatball for a home run to the next guy, and that was the killer right there, really, for Garrett Cole, because he just looked like he was a little bit. He lost concentration after he walked Gurriel. That's what I picked up from that. He looked like he was so frustrated, and he carried it on to the next at bat, which you can't do. He's not used to walking guys. He never usually walks guys in the past, so it wasn't a good outing for Garrett Cole, and it's surprising. But we got lucky, and that's what's great is that we still come away with a dub despite him not pitching very well. A lot of things worked out in his favor. The defense in the outfield was phenomenal, and you know what? Shout out to Clay Holmes and especially Luke Weaver for coming in big spots. And
Yeah, the bullpen definitely backed up a gutty performance from Cole. But with Cole, you're looking at, like, all right, he wasn't getting the swing and miss. And, the first inning, he had the 1-2-3 inning on 6 pitches. And you're like, all right, the defense, if they're able to control the contact and not let the ball drop and continue to get outs, this might be one of those games where he goes deep. Like after the first, and that was after the first inning. I'm like, all right, let's just play the game. It's going to be a defensive game. But then they started kind of putting some hits together. But they bent, but they never broke. And the bullpen was really what you needed. They were able to grind it out. What do you think about where they brought in Holmes? Because first you see him warming up at one point when Cole was still on the mound. And I think you and I kind of tweeted back and forth with each other for a second. This is the ideal spot for him when the game's on the line. Okay, so it's not the 9th inning, but what of all the pitchers in the bullpen, that's the guy you decided to warm up. I'm like, it was almost like a white. I know some fans were looking at it as a white flag moment because Kansas City had the lead at that point. But he kept them at bay. The pitchers did not let the game get away from them and allowed the offense to kind of be able to scrap out the runs. And those 2 bases loaded walks, that was there's so much to break down. It's insane. The 2 bases loaded walks, that was huge because you don't need the big hit. You just need big at bats. That was my takeaway from it. How about you, Donald?
There's a lot to break down. There's a lot of things that concern me because I legitimately thought we played kind of ass for much of that game. I thought we played a terrible postseason game, but we still came away with a W. So which way do you look at it? Do you look at it as a positive, like, hey, we come away with a dub despite not playing well, so they can't play any worse. They're going to play better, and they should be okay. Or do you look at it going, why did this team look so unprepared going into game 1? So, you could take it both ways, but I'll tell you what, they came through in a big spot. The walks were huge, especially Austin Wells at bat. He was terrific. And huge at bat. Especially considering how bad our at bats were with runners in scoring position. But there was so many things that we need to break down. I mean, where do we start? Because listen, the starting pitching was bad, but the bullpen was great. The bullpen was freaking great. Gleyber Torres running himself into and out at home. But then, of course, he hit that home run. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? So it's like you don't want to criticize him, but damn. So
there were those few where it was we're ready to kill him. A lot of redemption within the game.
Yeah. And then, of course, Aaron Judge looked really bad against Michael Walker's changeup. I thought that the Royals actually kind of mismanaged that game. I think we got kind of lucky that they took Walker out because their bullpen was really soft. They don't have a good bullpen, and we really that's how we got ourselves back in it because their bullpen is ass. I would have stuck with Walker, to be honest, because it didn't look like we could deal with this changeup.
Filthy.
It's filthy changeup. So we got kind of lucky there, and we'll take it. But we also got the biggest luck. Well, there's so much to break down, but the biggest luck, of course, was the Jazz Chisholm overturn when I felt he was clearly out at second base. He was clearly out.
Pin on that one, Donald, because I do want to get into that.
Yeah, we'll definitely put a pin on that. So we should maybe start with. We'll try and keep it in chronological order because I mean I've never seen a game where there's so much and so many different factors and so many different things to break down. So many positives, so many negatives. I mean, a lot of negatives on the Royal side. And what it says to me is that the only thing that beat the Yankees in this series is ourselves.
Yep. Well, that is what it's going to be. It really is. But the run on contact from Torres again. I have to ask the question: should your baseball IQ say? I know the play was to hit and run, but it wasn't the way the ball was hit. I'm gonna be a dead duck. So let me just stay on third base. That's gotta be into account. So it's very easy to just want to just throw Torres under the bus over and over again, but he's only following the instructions of the coaches.
Well, yeah, I mean,
now you get into that gray area that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. Is where do you just follow the coach's plan, the manager's plan, and when do you just take things into your own account? And does Gleyber have the ability where if he does make his own decision, he's not going to be held accountable from the managers after the game going, hey, when I say you hit and run, you hit and run.
Well,
you don't have that. You don't have the credit to make your own call.
It's not hit and run specifically. It's running on contact. Running on contact. There also has to be an element of IQ in that.
Yeah,
I mean, it was quite clear when that ball going to a ground ball at first base that he was not scoring. Gleyber Torres is not freaking Mookie Betts, Jazz Chisholm, you name it. He's not that dude.
No, I think that would have been a close. I don't even think Bobby Witt would have made it home.
No, exactly. It was the wrong thing to do. You just don't do it. You never, ever, ever get yourself out at home plate. No, not in the playoffs.
Mm-mm.
You shouldn't do it in the regular season, but you certainly shouldn't do it in the playoffs. So that's the issue with Gleyber Torres. No matter how many home runs he hits or how good he's been at the leadoff spot, he still runs like a lemming falling off a cliff. That's what he's like. He's like a lemming falling off a cliff. He's like, that's it. That's all he does, man. It's like a fucking computer game, man. There's just the lemmings just falling off a cliff. That's him running the bases. It's so fucking bad. So fucking bad.
Yep. But before we get away from Torres and his running, let's bring up some of these comments in the chat. And if you do want to add your comments in the chat so we can pull them up and break them down, all you got to do is simply, at no cost, hit that sub button over on YouTube. Thanks to everybody that is watching us on our Twitter account and anybody that is watching us on Facebook. We will be streaming through all three of our social medias throughout the playoffs. So we do appreciate everybody that is listening in and watching. But yeah, jump over to YouTube, hit that sub button, and then you can add your comments in. Let's start it off with this one comment here from Acevedo. And he is saying the thing with Torres is that he can't make his own decision because we all know that he is the only one that Boone likes to call out. We've seen that Boone.
No, I doesn't like to call him out.
No, he won't call anybody out.
He called him out once.
Yeah,
and it was a situation where he had to call him out. And by the way, calling him out probably saved Torres'
career.
Yeah, you could make that argument because he's going to earn a decent contract now in free agency. I doubt it's going to be from the Yankees, but by holding him accountable and then giving him an opportunity, put him in the top of the leadoff spot, it's turned it around. Now that's a lot of it is Gleyber Torres as well. I'm not taking it away, but that was the one good bit of management that Aaron Boone's really shown this year. I thought was holding Gleyber Torres accountable. It certainly got guys singing from the same hymn sheet, that there was some accountability in the locker room. And Gleyber Torres played 1,000 times better after that. So I don't know if Boone likes to call him out. It was the one guy that he called out because it was the one guy that's been doing it consistently. He's been doing it consistently for as long as I can remember.
Yeah, yeah, it really was just that one spot, and it was extremely justified. We spend almost half a show, praising Boone for finally having the balls to say what we were all thinking. But it's not like Boone's one of those where he's just going to continually throw everybody under the bus.
No,
That's
he's
not
never
his
done
style.
that.
I'm not expecting him to change now. He's not going to change in the future. This is who we have as our manager. Like him or not, they hired him. They're riding and dying with him. And that's just, unfortunately, the way it is.
When Torres dropped that pop-up, when he tried to do like the routine kind of like basket catch during the regular season, Talking Yanks went after Aaron Boone about that and was like, you must have had an issue with that. And Aaron Boone just completely ignored it. That was a perfect opportunity to call him out. He didn't do it. Yep. So, Boone doesn't call people out.
Yeah, and it was just one of these where they just had a couple of phenomenal defensive plays. And it was on both sides, where you had that, even to start off the game, not starting off when Soto guns down Perez at home plate.
So does the God.
But my first reaction to it was, why the fuck did they send Perez? He's not the fastest runner. And he made, he made Soto look like, one of the best, outfielders out there, and he's been criticized about his defense.
He fucking was that. Yeah, he fucking was in game one. I'll tell you.
That was a phenomenal play. That was a good heads-up play, just gun it to the home plate. But the defense really did show up. There were a couple of miscues from Volpe.
We'll get into that, but let's try and stay on point. But we need to break down Volpe because I have we have a lot of concerns about him. But going back to the original thing, poor coaching all the way around. There shouldn't have been contact on that play. So Gleyber Torres isn't 100% to blame there, but I still feel that if you've got a good baseball IQ and there's a ground ball to first base that that you're not the fastest guy, you shouldn't be running on that play. So I wouldn't have done it. And I'm not going to completely remove him from blame. But again, I didn't think it was a very well-coached game. I didn't think Boone had a particularly great coached game, but he made some good decisions, especially with Verdugo. And those bullpen moves worked out well. But there's a couple of things that weren't the smartest call. The running on contact wasn't the best idea. And having the infield in that cost us a run as well, that was a really stupid decision. I don't know what that was about. But luckily, I felt the Royals coached the hell of a worse game. They were a terrible game. Like, as you say, why was Sally Perez running a home?
Yep.
So, lucky there. Luckily, their bullpen management was terrible, and that was very, very fortunate. So, we got kind of lucky too.
Yeah, no, that was really bad. I mean, three bat, they were really sticking to that 3 batters, next guy.
Well, they had to. The rules.
No. But I think they overused it on the Royals end. They definitely did. It shouldn't have been that often, because it seems to be the way that baseball is now, where they don't want to overuse guys or stress them out for those extra outs because it's been a long season and they want to try to manage how many times they're throwing. I get it. It makes sense. But this is the playoffs, and it's going to get to that game where there is no tomorrow. We just saw probably one of the more competitive wildcard series that we've ever seen. And it really came down to there was no tomorrow. Excuse you. So, dog's stretching out, and she's pushing my table all over the place.
Oh,
yeah, that's why you see it.
The biggest dog.
My pet horse.
Pet horse, exactly.
But no, I do think they need to start. Look, if you have a reliever that got through 3 batters and they're still under 10 pitches, they can go one more batter. I think the Royals had too quick of a hook on their bullpen, and that's what benefited the Yankees, because the pitchers were never able to really get comfortable on the mound. And the Yankees took advantage of that because they walked a lot of the Yankees worked a lot of walks, and that I think that was the key to the Yankees winning, because it wasn't the big long ball. There were clutch at bats more so than clutch hits, and that was how the Yankees survived, as we said earlier. And so, what do you think about how the Yankees were able to? What I said the plan should be is you have to work the pitches. Don't give them easy at bats. Make them feel like they went through a war. I said that was going to be the key, and that is what they did. Did you have the same takeaway?
I was impressed with you're right, especially Wells' deep at bats. I thought his at bats were great, but really, I felt that the star of the show. And for some reason, not a lot of people are actually mentioning it. Juan Soto really was the star of the show. Like it was like a one-man show out there, Juan Soto, in many ways. I really have to say that. I think it was. Like, how many hits did he get? 3? And
I think it was 3 for 4.
Perfect defense in the outfield, plus gunning a guy out at home. Juan Soto showed exactly what I said in the previous podcast. I said, the guy I have the most confidence in is Juan Soto in the playoffs because he's got the right approach. His at-bats in the playoffs are perfect. He's got a perfect approach at the plate, especially in these big spots. I've very rarely seen him not come through in big spots because his approach is perfect. He will take whatever the pitcher is giving him. If they're going to leave a pitch over the plate, he will destroy it. If they want to walk him, then he's happy to walk him. He'll happily take his walk. That's what he's about. He's just got that right mentality. And there was a bunch of guys through the lineup who were kind of fishing for a big home run. That includes Aaron Judge. But Juan Soto, he had the perfect approach, man. Just see a good pitch and nail it. And he did it 3 times. So for me, Juan Soto was the star of this show. Whatever it takes to bring him back has to be done. Whatever it takes. There isn't a price on earth that shouldn't be considered to bring Juan Soto back. He is the king.
Yep. And I think Cole Italian Pizza's onto it. And I know the strike zone asked the question earlier, about, was the rest a factor? And he's saying, I think a big factor was that the Yankees bullpen was well rested. And that could be part of that. I think that's true. What's going on, Mr. Barrows? These players are treated like they're made of glass. They need to let them play like their life depends on it. Boone should have never pulled Cole that early because we almost blew that game. Well, the reason that he did was because if Cole was getting swing and miss stuff, then yeah. But they were hitting him hard. Mm-hmm. So it was just a matter of time before the Royals bats started making him pay for not being able to get the swing and miss. So I can't blame Boone for that. Whereas Cole should have, he's the ace. He should have been able to auto correct himself between inning to inning, and he just wasn't able to do it. They were reading.
Did the right thing with getting him out.
Yeah. So I can't, as much as we love to go after Boone for stuff, I can't for that particular instance. Let's go back to that thing we put a pin in earlier, and that was the Jazz Chisholm steal, and the review play. Before we give our comments on it, this was not something that was fixed. I know Eric Hosmer, I'll call him out, was very vocal about how this is what happens when you have the replay system in New York. And this was about pumping up a big market team and the fixes in. One, you've played the game. You know that nobody gets favoritism, especially the Yankees. I don't think the Yankees had any edge. I think it's just simply the replay system got it wrong. I mean, I was utterly shocked that safe call was not overturned.
Me too.
I'm going to say that right now. I thought he was out. I thought it was clear he was out.
Yep.
And the only thing that I said, and I tweeted out on the Strike Chronicle account, was, all right, we got a gift. Let's take advantage of it. And they did.
They did.
So it's not like MLB and the MLB replay system, because it's in New York, decided that we want the Yankees to move ahead so badly. We're going to fix the game. Come on. Eric, you got to do better than that. You're better than that.
Yeah, but I mean, I can understand why he's pissed, because if I was a Royals fan, or even if I was a neutral, I'd be pissed too, because to be honest, I thought it was a terrible decision. Like, what is the point in instant replay if you're going to get the decision wrong? He was clearly out. Like, there was a gap between.
Yeah,
there was a gap like about that big between the end of his cleat and the bag, and that's when he got tagged. There was about that much difference. You could see it. You definitely see daylight between the two. He definitely got tagged. 100% got tagged. It's a really, really big miss, and it could be costly. It could very well be costly, because now the Yankees have their tails up. They took advantage of it, which good teams do. You have to take advantage of your luck, especially in the playoffs. If you've been given a bit of luck, you got to take it. And the Yankees took it. So I have to give them a lot of credit, especially Verdugo for that, and Luke Weaver for shutting it down after. But let's be perfectly neutral about this. He was definitely out. It was a miss by MLB. It's a really bad look for MLB, because what's the point in having instant replay if you're going to get the decision wrong?
Yep.
So it is good, especially in the playoffs when there's so much riding on every single call. You got to get them right. You got to get it right. You got to err on the side of, you know what, caution. He's definitely. It looks like he's out. You got to go with that call.
Yeah, and Pizza, you're right. When it's close, they always refer to the on-field call. I get that, but he was out. I'm sorry. Like Donald and I were just alluding to, thankfully the Yankees were able to capitalize on MLB's bad eyes.
Yeah.
Maybe they need an eye exam.
Take advantage of these things, though.
Yeah.
That's why it's not like I'm just crushing like the Yankees or whatever. The Yankees have to take advantage of these opportunities. Any good team, if you're given luck, you've got to take that opportunity. You've got to take it. They got a bit of luck. They didn't deserve that luck, but they got it, and they took it.
And to be fair, now here's where I'm going to be fair with Eric Hosmer, right? Because if it was the other way around, we would have lost our freaking minds.
Facts.
So the fans are rightfully so to be pissed that MLB missed the overturning of the call. But to go to the length to say that the game is rigged and fixed, that's a narrative I can't get into. You want to be mad that they blew it? Blame MLB. The Yankees had nothing to do with that. There's no money being put under the handed over under the table. I don't like that narrative. I really don't.
I like that. I like pizza. I like that pizza. I think it would be good to hear what the discussion is, for clarity, for transparency, because I want to know what they're seeing in that replay when you could see that he was tagged. Jesus Christ, that your horse needs attention. I just want to know what the conversation was when you could clearly see that he was tagged before that foot touched the base. I want to see what that conversation is. That's what I'm interested in. I want to hear that, just for transparency's sake. But
yeah, like if they would have come out and they would have said, due to lack of evidence.
Yeah. That's probably what it was.
It falls under that. It's too close to make an accurate move. Then the call has to stand. Because I always said if you're going to do the replay, you can't spend 10 minutes looking at the same play over and over again. If it's taking you that long, there's not enough evidence to change it.
Yeah.
So move on.
Makes sense.
Because sadly, before replay, there were a lot of plays in baseball that kind of screwed over other teams. And you don't even need to mention specifics because it's happened to every team. Every team has gotten screwed on a call.
That's true. That is very, very true.
So it's not a bias. It was just a fuck up. Sorry.
No, exactly. But it was a very costly fuck up, and I actually kind of feel bad for the Royals. But what I don't feel bad for the Royals is how bad they managed that game. Because their bullpen is 20th in the majors, right? In terms of ERA, it's not a good bullpen. They struggled, and for the manager to go to the bullpen that early was a big mistake, and the Yankees took advantage of it. I do think that because I don't think that we were actually doing that well against Walker. So I was quite relieved when they took him out because the next guy they put in walked the bases loaded. So it really said it a lot that they don't really trust their bullpen. So you know what? Royals players, Royals fans can blame that isolated incident, but to be honest, it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy because at the end of the day, there's a lot more that goes into losing games than just one isolated play.
Yeah.
They could have pitched better. Their bullpen was terrible. They didn't take advantage of the opportunities. They didn't take advantage of the fact that Garrett Cole left a lot of pitches up. They didn't run the bases very well, and their bullpen was bad. So they have no one else to blame but themselves because we tried to lose that game. I mean, Anthony Volpe literally threw the ball basically into the backstop. I mean, he was horrible. But they didn't take advantage of it. So that's on them. That's on them, right? Like, yeah, they miss a call, one call. Bad, really bad. But by the way, it was still a tie game even after that. You could still have gotten him out. You could still have gotten Verdugo out, but you didn't because the pitching was bad. That's on them. Can't say it's fixed. It's not like it scored a bunch of runs. That play was a mistake, but they could have still gotten themselves out of it. They didn't do it because they struggled in that game.
I want to get into. I do want to talk about the comments, but the situation with Judge and the post-game comments from Alex Rodriguez. I don't know if anybody saw that, but Alex actually has. And I'm not a big A-Rod fan, but A-Rod made some key points.
I love me some A-Rod.
Advice for Aaron Judge. I want to get into the announcing real quick.
Tell me about what A-Rod said. Please tell me what A-Rod said.
So A-Rod was pretty much talking with. So we all know Aaron Judge has had his issues with. He's got a bad narrative about his play in the postseason. Okay. And if you go on MLB, it's like a 4-minute video with them all talking about Judge's performance at the plate. So you can go and hear it for yourselves after the show. But he was pretty much saying, it's very easy to change the narrative amongst the fan base. He's like, sometimes you have to stop thinking within the moment and thinking of the big picture. And one of the things where Judge, this is how A-Rod put it, Judge has had some of the most amazing regular seasons we've ever seen because he's been disciplined at the plate. He goes, and when you get to the postseason, you want to carry that so badly, you get away from your own game. He goes, and that's what happened to me until 2009. And I'm like, I'm just going to go back. I'm just going to stay patient at the plate and wait for the pitches that I know I can do something with. He goes, and I'm not going to expand my strike zone. And he was saying how Aaron Judge in the postseason expands his strike zone. because he knows, the game, time is short because it's, you lose, you go home. So he was saying Judge needs to just go back to that, where take your pitch. If you end up walking, you walk. You can still contribute to the game without hitting the big home run. Just get the hit. Just pass the baton to the next guy. He's like, I had Hideki. Matsui behind me. So if I couldn't do it, I knew somebody else could. He says, and that's where a lot of the pressure is going to fall on Stanton and Wells. Now this is not A-Rod, this is me talking. This is where the pressure is going to fall on Stanton and Wells, because they're going to have to be able to take that mantle. So, and that's just the way it is. And Donald, I'll let you talk while I mute this for a second.
Yeah, could you put that dog outdoors or something? I can't hear you talk. Right. Spot on. A-Rod is spot on. And if there's anyone that knows about the pressures of being a regular season MVP, but then struggling in the playoffs, is A-Rod. But it's kind of forgotten about his playoff struggles because he was that good in 2009. He got it right. So I'm not going to look too much into Aaron Judge's first game. It wasn't a good outing. He has terrible numbers against Walker. I think he was like 1 for 16, 1 for 17. He can't deal with Walker's changeup. Sometimes it's just a bad matchup, but his at bats were not good. So he's got to be better. If the Yankees are going to do anything in this postseason, Aaron Judge needs to be Aaron Judge. But I do think that Soto has a better approach. I think he has a much better approach in the playoffs. I think his at-bats are much better. He's got that championship pedigree. So as Judge has to pick it up. There's no excuses anymore. Jared's got it there, 1 for 19 against Welker. It's crazy. Can't hit that changeup. So that's really the big takeaway there, is that Juan Soto just feels to me like he's got the right approach, and maybe Judge just needs to simplify his approach. But the great thing about the playoffs is there's another game tonight for him to make a story for himself. Make himself the story. Hit a walk-off home run, hit a big go-ahead home run, whatever. And then whatever struggles that he's had will be forgotten about. That's the great thing. But tell you what, A-Rod has a really good baseball mind, man. Like, there's no one that knows baseball better than A-Rod. A-Rod knows that game inside out. So if he has advice, I strongly urge anyone to listen to it. Whatever you think about him off field or whatever, his knowledge of the game is unrivaled. And listen to it. He knows his shit. FJ has it there. Judge is hitting only 206 in the playoffs. But the thing is, just as A-Rod, because A-Rod struggled all the way up to 2009 in the playoffs, have one big playoff, and it's completely forgotten about. So there's more than enough time for Aaron Judge to turn this around. At the end of the day, we've got far more problems than Aaron Judge. Because, Volpe looked horrific on the field, and offensively, he just looked really bad. And
he looked overwhelmed.
Yes, he did. But he's looked overwhelmed most of the year. So I'm not going to just say, oh, well, it's the postseason. He's a little nervous. Dude's been ass since like June.
Yeah, it's Volpe's had it tough. He's had it tough. I'm hoping, the postseason nerves kind of decimate a little bit. I'm not expecting him to come out like Derek Jeter would, but I wanted to see a little more competitiveness out of him. I do think that he needs to calm his nerves a little bit. Maybe now that first postseason game's out of the way, we'll see a little bit better. Because I said earlier, a couple weeks ago, when it comes to with Volpe and Wells and some of these other guys that were on the team last year that didn't see the postseason. So we don't know what their postseason acumen is going to be. they could be one of those guys where they're going to kind of be slightly above average through the year, but be exceptional in the postseason. We've seen that, just as we've seen it the other way around. How many times have we seen, players, that have phenomenal regular seasons, and then they kind of go to the wayside in the postseason? We're seeing it in one way or another with Judge right now. I don't want to single Judge out because he's had moments in the postseason, we've gone over it, where he's had some key at bats. So to say that he's a zero in the postseason, I think is highly unfair. But I do think, Donald, like we were saying, he's got to take A-Rod's advice. He's got to listen to that clip and take it from somebody who's been the guy that it took a couple years to figure it out. Judge has to figure this out now. He can, because just like everybody else was doing, they have to be patient at the plate. You don't, in the postseason, you don't get 8 walks by accident. That's patience. And Judge needs to absorb some of the patience that the rest of his teammates had.
Oh, yeah. But we're talking about Volpe now. And you know what? Mr. Barros has always been a big supporter of Cabrera because there's something that Mr. Barros is right about. Cabrera has a really good mentality. He looks very calm in the moment. He looks like he enjoys the moment. And that's something that Volpe doesn't look like he enjoys the moment. He looks like he's worried. He looks scared. Cabrera doesn't look scared. Cabrera has a good approach. So I'm interested to see just to see how the rest of this playoffs play out, because I'll tell you what, Cabrera looked really good at first base. I love his approach. I love that he wants to learn. I love that he's just he's got a little bit of moxie about him. I like that little bit of confidence that he has. He just looks like he's ready. Volpe looked overwhelmed. Why was he? That error that he made should have cost us the game. It was absolutely unacceptable. It was terrible. You cannot do that. He was never throwing him out. So swallow it. Don't make the play. Live for tomorrow. He didn't. He launched it. He was extremely fortunate that the Yankees didn't lose on the back of Anthony Volpe. So I'm sorry. The gloves are off for Volpe, man. I'm squarely looking at him to start showing why the Yankees have given him more leash than they've given anyone I've ever known. And I've been watching the Yankees for like 30 years, more than that, and I've never seen them give more leash to Anthony Volpe. They've given him all this leash, and they've given no leash to Oswaldo Cabrera. They've given no leash to Peraza. Hey, they're not even giving any leash to Dominguez. But they have given all this leash to Anthony Volpe. And what has he done? Played good defense. Can't hit. And he doesn't have a big moment either. So, I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing how much leash they give this guy.
I mean, we've seen it, and it's not just Volpe. We've seen them give the leash to a lot of guys. I mean,
Aaron Hicks and all that stuff.
Hicks, Gallo, Sanchez, we believe Holmes. How many times did we see them put him in the closers situation? Enough to blow 11 and 12 of them.
Well, that's true.
So
I mean, the only one that I can say that
that's how they are. Why they die?
Was Josh Donaldson. Like, Josh Donaldson did absolutely nothing from day one. He was always a disaster, but they kept running him out, right? Yeah. But Aaron Hicks actually did play pretty well his first, 2 years as a Yankee before he completely fell off a cliff and became an embarrassment, and now is becoming an award name for how terrible he is. I'll never, ever forget how horrible he was. But still, Clay Holmes, you know what? Prior to him melting down, he's had some moments. Anthony Volpe, I don't know what he's really given us other than decent defense.
Yeah, and I've said it. Volpe's that guy I want them to be patient with. 23 years old. Not many 23-year-olds have it all figured out, especially in professional sports. We've seen, sometimes they're just, not every athlete is going to be an all-star at the age of 20.
Well, that's true, but if you look at the shortstop in his age range, he's one of the worst all around. Not defensively, but all around. Offensively,
well, that's what I was going to get into. But when when you're having these type of season, you're having these type of struggles, and now you bring it into a postseason atmosphere, that's where you can really create even more of a divide with the fan base that wants to have your back, but simply can't. And I'm going to cross my fingers that tonight in Game 2, if he shows that, all right, the jitters are gone, and he can put together a solid game. He doesn't have to be the all-star of the game, but put a solid game together. Have some better at bats. Be a little more agile on your feet and not throw from, you can't dive left and try to throw right. It just your body doesn't work that way.
The thing is, he's got great range, but he's got no arm, and that's what worries me moving forward. But Pizza, I completely agree with you, man. Like, it should be great. We should all be behind him, and we are. But I mean, I just don't think it's very fair on guys like Peraza and Oswaldo Cabrera who haven't ever gotten this opportunity that Volpe's been getting every single day. I mean, I don't know what Peraza's done that was so horrible that he's not been given any kind of even an opportunity to maybe even spell Anthony Volpe, because he's got a better glove, he's got a better arm, and he's got a better bat. So, I mean, I don't know what to say, but I mean, I don't think that Arias or Lombard are going to get the opportunity, because I think they're all in on Anthony Volpe, and they always will be. I think Volpe's, this is it. They made their decision, and that's it. They're running with it. But anyway, I don't want to make it seem like I'm hating on the guy, so we'll move on. But he's one of my bigger concerns moving forward. But hey, the great thing is that this can all change tonight. If Anthony Volpe hits a walk-off single, then I'll be like, you know what? I was wrong. Sorry, guys. This guy might have something about him. So that's the great thing about the playoffs, is it can all change on a dime. So we'll see what happens moving forward. Maybe he can turn this around.
Yeah, and here's the one thing I want to ask everybody, and you, Donald, before we sign off. And again, thanks to everybody in the comment section. We are loving reading all the comments as they scroll through. And if you haven't already, hit that like button. If you're watching us on Twitter, we do appreciate you guys hanging out over there. If you want to just jump over there, hit that sub button.
Hit the like button. We've actually got loads of people in the chat here. I have to say, there's loads of people in the chat. So anyone who's watching on Twitter, anyone who's watching on Facebook, hop on over to here and hit that sub button. And hit that like button for us, because it really helps the algorithms and it helps us getting this out there to more people. But we really appreciate the turnout on a Monday. Those are great. On a Monday morning, tons of people in the chat. So
it's Yankees postseason baseball. Nobody turns up better than Yankee fans.
That's right. And I have to say, shout out to Yankee fans, man. They made that stadium loud as shit. Game 1. It was incredible.
We've seen a lot of good postseason baseball so far this year. What have you taken away from some of the other matchups, particularly with the Guardians and the Tigers? Because those are the teams that we really have. They're on closer to our radar. But look at the battle between the Mets and Phillies in those first 2 games was insane. And Padres and Dodgers, there's going to be a brawl at some point. That's going to get ugly. The fans were terrible in LA last night. That was totally unacceptable. I know more video have come out about it, where one of the balls was actually handed by where Profile handed a ball to a fan, and they decided to just throw it back at him. And then more fans just started throwing the ball. It was time they had to shut the game down. But digress to that. The Guardians and the Tigers. The Tigers, how do you see them bouncing back after that?
Oh, they got
They
Tariq
are a
Skubal.
team that can do it.
They got Tariq Skubal in the mound for game 2, so there's every chance that they can level it up. Pretty good when you got the best pitcher in the American League coming up for you in game 2. But I'm actually not really that focused on that series.
Okay.
I'm interested in our series alone, but I'm paying attention to the Mets game, the Phillies game, because that's great. That's theater. I mean, that's what playoff baseball is all about. This is unbelievable. It's back and forth. It's crazy. Salute to the Mets. I don't like you guys. I'm never going to ever root for you guys. And I hope you lose. And I hope you lose badly for the rest of the series. But I have to say, I really appreciate how clutch they are. They're making some big moments happen. So they've really got a good locker room there. They're well managed. They're well coached. And they're making the big moments happen. So I do have to give them a little bit of credit for that. But the Phillies are the better team. So hopefully they shut the door on that. There's a big walk off right there in extra innings to make sure they didn't go 2 down. So there's that. Love the Dodgers Padres matchup. That's gonna be end up in a brawl, as you say. It's gonna go all the way. Jurickson Profar, that's a badass man right there. That is a big boy move right there. Jumping into the stands, make the catch to save the home run, and then hide the ball, and then no one knows if it's a freaking home run or if it was an out, and the announcers didn't know.
Nobody
and
knew.
Mookie Betts didn't know. Nobody freaking knew. That's a big boy move right there. So Jurickson Profar is playing up right there. But how trash are the Dodgers fans, man? Throwing shit in the bullpen? Like there should be like some suspensions for these fans. Like these fans should be nowhere near a baseball stadium for that. There should be some arrests. They shouldn't be anywhere near that. You can't be throwing stuff at a bullpen. You can't be doing that. Like who the fuck do you think you are? I mean, just have some class. Have some class. Just terrible fan base. Terrible. Just shocking. Great. Embarrassing. Regil's embarrassing. Exactly, Regil. Absolutely embarrassing. I'm surprised the security was so lax with that. Like they should have been far more on that. I think I saw that Jurickson handed a ball to a Dodger fan in the stands, and then the fan just threw it back at him. What a fucking asshole! What the fuck do you think you fucking are?
I don't care if it's the home team, the away team, or the the ball boy in the back row. If I'm getting handed something as a fan, I ain't giving a shit back.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? There should be all rules should be off, and Jurickson Profar should be allowed to get a free pop at him.
I wouldn't go that far. I don't want to see anybody get hurt.
Throw the ball right back at him, motherfucker. So anyway, let's get back to us, where it actually matters. We've got big game ahead. Big game because.
So what do you expect to see out of Rodon?
I think he's going to pitch well. I think he likes the big moment. I'm quite interested to see what he does. But I mean, the Royals, they're bringing out their best starter, so that's going to be big, man. Cole Reagans is their best starter. He's got 3.14 ERA, 223 strikeouts, 11 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's going to rack up the strikeouts. So again, the Yankees need to have a very similar approach as to what they had in Game 1. Need to work that count. Foul off pitches. Stay in at bats. Frustrate them. Work a pitch in your pitch count in your favor. Get a fastball. Get a pitch you can handle, and do what you can with it. So that's what it is. But he's a lefty that strikes out 11 guys per 9 innings. That's a tough one, man. That's a tough matchup for us. He's pitched very well against us in the past. But Rodon, Rodon's more than capable of keeping us in it. Like he's pitched very, very well this year, for the most part. And I remember, and I'll give credit to Tats here because we did midseason grades, right? And I was particularly harsh on Tats because Tats gave him actually a B. And I was ripping him. I was like, dude, it's been ass and all that shit. But guess what? Tats was actually right on something. He was right because Rodon was actually really, really good the rest of the year. And so he really proved a lot of us wrong and he worked incredibly hard to get to the stage that he got this year. So salute to Rodon. I think Rodon's more than capable of it. I think he's going to pitch better than Garrett Cole. I think he will. I'm pretty sure he's going to pitch better than Garrett Cole in game one. I think he's easily going to able to go 6 innings, 3 runs. I think he can do that. So that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, look. I all I wanted Rodon to do was have a better year than last year, and he's done that, in better fashion than even I expected. Because and he stayed healthy all year. He didn't miss a start. I mean, how do you not appreciate a guy that after his rookie Yankee year to have, his second year is as good as it was? I think the key for Rodon tonight is really going to be he's got to be able to take advantage of their aggressiveness with the bat. Because they are going to swing early in the count. They're going to be looking for fastballs early in the count. I think he's going to have to work the corners, the edges, and really make sure that his ball is moving properly. If he's able to have command of his pitches and, control the movement to his favor, I think he's going to be able to get those swing and misses that we were looking for from Cole. And I think if he's able to get into the 6th inning with 3 runs or less, I get him out of there, let him tip his cap, and let's get this the bullpen to get the final outs.
Elliot feels confident with Rodon? Yeah, I actually feel pretty
confident, but it's not going to be easy.
No. I mean, if there's a game that favors the Royals, it's this one.
And this is kind of why,
with a guy that averages 11 strikeouts per 9 innings, it's not normally because we struggle against lefties, but I think it's a postseason, anything can happen. What is the weather looking like for tonight's game? Will they be able to get the game in? Because you're saying it's raining over there.
It starts raining now, which is why I was able to, let the dog kind of go outside for a couple minutes while we finish up. But,
is it looking okay for 7:38?
I am looking up the weather now for Yankee Stadium. And the hourly, let's see, where are we looking? Of course, there's an ad that comes up, of course.
7:38.
You got to get there, yeah. It is looking clear for the evening.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
No precipitation.
We're going to get a game in, baby.
We are going to get a game in. But
let's finish on a positive. Luke, motherfucking Weaver, that's my closer.
Well, that's how we close the show, with the closer. So, yes, man, that dude's a beast.
He is a beast.
Yo, what's going on, D-Rod? Long time no see.
Come
popping in. No, Weaver, there's nothing more to say about him. He's our closer. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Fucking electric, man.
Yeah.
I love how unassuming he is. He was asked about it, he was like, yeah. That's what you want. That's
very
what you
nonchalant.
Want. Exactly. So, I'll just throw 97 miles an hour and get your ass out, and I'm gonna go home. That's it. He's meets his definition of built different. I mean, he's just like, Whereas Aroldis Chapman was like pouring sweat out of every single pore out of his body after one pitch. Clay Holmes looked like the whole world was on his shoulder. Every single sinker that he threw. And Luke Weaver's just like 197 mile an hour. Struck him out. Goes off the mound. Hey, guys. That's it. I love it. I fucking love it. That's what you need. That's the mentality you need as a closer.
And he still gets this look like, like when they do the after the post game interview.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
why are you even? What did I do that you're talking to me? Like he just seems like he doesn't know what's going on, but he's as effective as you can ask for out of your closer. He's so much fun to watch.
I love it.
They should have made this move a long time ago, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
As long as at least they made the decision, they made the change when the change mattered, and that's postseason baseball, which we will be getting to tonight, and we will be back.
The 50 people in the chat, right? And Uncle T, we got one last thing. Tats, you had a poll, and you had the poll as who was the player of the game in Game 1.
Yes.
Let's finish with who was the player of the game in Game 1. What were your options in that poll?
So I put a poll up after the game, and after every game, there will be a poll of who was the player of the game. So for Game 1, the nominees were Wells, Torres, Weaver, Verdugo. And there was an additional vote in the comment section for Soto from yours truly over there, Donald. And which, believe me, I didn't want to overexhaust the options, but it was the percentages were Wells at 7% of the vote, Torres 17%, Weaver 34%, very respectful, and Verdugo won with 42% of the vote.
Wow!
So Verdugo, after having a terrible taste in the fans' mouths, redeemed himself for Game 1. Will that carry over? That's yet to be seen.
All right, everyone in the chat, put down your vote right now. Boom, 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 boom. Fire, rapid fire. Game. Uncle Tats, who was yours?
I'm going with Verdugo. Which is, one of the reasons why I'm like, what, let's lead off with him, because he really did have that game. I think he deserved it.
All right, Regil goes Doogie. Nosebleed goes Doogie. Strike Zone goes Doogie. Stevie B goes Soto, and that's why my Stevie B's my guy, because Juan Soto's my guy, baby. Juan Soto was my guy. He's my guy. He is my guy. There goes, as the Yankees love eating crow, Verdugo all the way. Wow. Gregory goes Weaver. Jared goes Verdugo.
Safe. Yep.
Elliot goes Clay Holmes. Wow. A vote for Clay. Vote for Clay. Nice one, Elliot. I like that you're throwing out a very decent option, man, because he was actually very, very big in that spot. So I love you, Elliot's comment here. Weaver has that certain je ne sais quoi that a pitcher needs to succeed under the bright lights of an October Yankee game. Now, first of all, I want to see if Uncle Tats could pronounce je ne sais quoi.
What, with my accent or what I was supposed to say?
With your accent.
He's got a certain je ne sais quoi.
Nice one. Good job. I don't think Luke Weaver knows what that means. Let's be honest.
What was that word that they used? I don't know what that means.
I don't think vocab is high on Luke Weaver's list of priorities.
No, but you know what? As long as he keeps getting outs and saves, I don't care.
Exactly. That's what I love about him. He's great. He's fucking great. He's just literally born just to pitch beautifully. And that's it. This is awesome. Right, let's see what else other votes were. Verdugo. Egyptian. So Jared goes Verdugo. Cabrera has to be the co-hero along with Verdugo. Yeah, because Cabrera.
Very fair.
Really nice scoops of first base. Really like that. I like that outside of Soto, Weaver, and Wells, the clutch came from unexpected places in Game 1. I agree with that. So far, it looks like Verdugo is kind of winning across the board. So it looks like, unless there's another massive surge, that Verdugo was the player of the game in Game 1. So salute to Verdugo. He came up big. That's what it's all about. That's what the playoffs are all about. So he's clearly born for the big moment. I'm excited to see what he can do in Game 2.
And that's what we're all about. A little bit of Yankee baseball, ups, downs, everything in between. Nobody is immune from being praised, and nobody is immune from being criticized. What we see is what you get. And we do want to thank everybody that did hang out with us this morning. Remember, this is the Pitch Chronicles. This is where fans become family. And
I'm thinking of calling a game. What do you think? What's your schedule like, T?
I'll be at work tonight.
Oh man, you're missing game 2. Shit.
No, believe me, I'll be listening. They already know. So, but we do want to thank it and show our appreciation to everybody. So hit that like button, hit that sub button, share this out with your friends, your family, the strangers on the corner. And as I like to say, we're those pinstripes of pride, and play hard.